Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'll be unboxing this. This is an adapter that allows you to play Famicom games on a Nintendo GBA SP. So let's take it out and have a look at it. So I've just cut this open so we can just take it straight out. Looks like I need to cut here as well. So here the device is. So it says GAMETECH, that's the brand that's released by. It's got an interesting off-brand Game Boy Advance SP that they've used. So of course compared to a normal Game Boy Advance SP, there's a few differences in theirs. So they've decided to replace the D-pad with a circle and they've added an extra button, just head above the B and A buttons. It's got no brightness option. You also don't have starter select or speakers. Looks like they're playing some off-brand version of Mario or something. I'm not exactly sure what that game is. Might not even be a real game. As you can see, it says 8-bit game adapter, FC, so Famicom games. I do have a Famicom game, just Super Mario Bros. 3 here, so you can test it with that. And on the back there's a nice diagram of the adapter. So you put it in the cartridge port. Got a few controls and looks like we have a headphone jack. So I guess this is one way you can also add a headphone jack on it. So I wonder if you could have two headphone jacks if you're using one of those dongles that can go in the power port as well. So let's take it out of the box. Very easy to open up. Here it is. So it's quite large. Of course, it's much larger than the actual Game Boy Advance itself. So in volume wise, it's probably about twice the size volume wise, because this is a bit taller as well as a bit deeper. And width, slightly larger than that as well. So probably about twice the volume. So there we have our cartridge slot on the front. I suppose on the back. There we have our cartridge port. That'll be on the back. Got some nice Famicom colours almost. Not exactly the same colours, but got that sort of marronish red and nice white. The bottom has just normal Phillips head screws and it has a label, so 2004 this was made in. There we go. On here, looks like we need to put a actual game in. Probably uses that, I'm going to guess, as some sort of security bypass mechanism. It's got a headphone jack, volume control, speaker, some indicator light and a reset button. And it looks like batteries go in here. So 2 batteries here, so probably 2 batteries each side, a total of 4 batteries. So I'll put some batteries in and we can test it out. Just putting the batteries in now. I've put 2 in there. I'm just going to show you how you put the batteries in. It's not the most obvious. I guess it is because it's labelled. But normally you'd look for the spring and the spring would go to this end and the not spring would go to this end. But because there isn't a spring, it's this sort of shape. You have to actually read the labels on here. So it goes down that way and this one goes that way like that. So you can't just use a spring as a guide like you normally do to quickly put it in. So now we have the batteries in there. Before you actually try it, I thought we might as well look at the other stuff in this tray and have a look through the manuals. So this is a little guide for it. This tells you how to use it, how to put it in. This other piece here is, it looks like it's for the controls. This one they've changed it so you only have 2 buttons again. So it looks like the right trigger is also used for something as well. Last but not least, this little pink piece of paper. Says no signals, so it says, it looks like it's telling you to turn off and on. Let's plug this in. Let's try turning this on, just like this. We have the game in. Looks like audio coming out of the speakers here. Quite staticky. Of course, looks like it hasn't read an actual game. That's not what that means. So I'll try putting a game in it. This one is a multi-cart. It's not an actual game, but it does work on an actual Game Boy Advance. So let's try putting it in. There we go. Doesn't look like that's working. So it could just be a bit of oxidation, so I can try putting it in and out a few times, see if that works. So after a fair bit of trial and error, I think I finally got it working. Let's try turning it on. There we go, with the Nintendo logo. Triangular, so it's easy to see. And it looks like, for whatever reason, the game isn't coming up. I had the game up before. That's the reset button. Let's try the right trigger. Nope, maybe the game isn't inserted anymore. Let's try turning it off and on again. There we go. It's very staticky even when you have it on completely off from the volume knob. You can't really hear it on the camera, but you can hear it in person. So let's try the game. Start. So as you can see, we've got that. So let's try the right trigger. That was one of the options it mentioned. So right trigger. Didn't seem to do anything. Left trigger does something. So it looks like that works another B button. So I wonder if that's another A button. Looks like it is. So I could try playing this. Look. So imagine it is just a NES on a chip that they've just sort of used an adapter. So basically it converts the video into a full playable thing. So it's got the NES chip there, then it takes the video output and it converts it so it can work on a Game Boy Advance. Some companies did release sort of AV adapters, so you could use your Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Advance SP as a video out, so sort of as a little display or screen. They could just plug RCA jacks for your composite video. So imagine that's similar to this, where just skipping this step and having that adapter built in here, and the NES chip is passing the video straight through. Seems that it does use this as a sort of security bypass for this, having this extra cartridge in here. I'm not sure if they weren't able to get it to work just using the device itself, or whether there's some other issues. Maybe they had some legal issues trying to sell it, if it did bypass the security. So let's try this out. So we do have the blue light when it's on. Let's try clicking reset. And that just resets the system. It looks like, even though I've got the volume on full here, the volume doesn't actually affect the volume. So the system doesn't output any sound anymore, it just comes completely through this device. There we go. So I would imagine that what's happening is that it's just passing just the video through, and then this is acting as the speakers now. So you wouldn't be able to get any audio out of the Game Boy Advance. That's probably made it simpler, where they can just have the audio connected straight to this, and then not have to worry about processing the audio to be read on the Game Boy Advance. Let's try, see what happens when we pull the cartridge out while it's in use. Just a bit of glitching and corruption. So yes, that'll be it for this video. If you like the video, don't like the video, comment down below any thoughts you had over these future videos, and subscribe so you don't miss some videos like this in the future.